Hi, welcome back to the Painted Mini. This is Travis, and today we are going to do our core space rule video, which is basically going to be the intro scenario. And as I play through the scenario, I'm going to teach you the rules of core space. So stick around. Okay, so we've painted up most of our minis. We're still doing some final touch-ups and everything. Some of that progress you might see today in our scenario, and then the rest we'll just reveal when we actually begin playing the ongoing campaign scenarios in future videos. So what I want to do today is, before we jump in and start playing with our own crew and creating our own story, I would very much like to go ahead and do a single video that covers the rules but does it through play. So I'm actually just going to consult and use the little starter adventure setup, two-player setup. Actually, I'm sorry, one player, two character setup that's in the Core Space Firstborn set. And as I set this up and go through it, I'm going to stop and show you the rules. So follow along with me. I'm going to go ahead and set up. Okay, welcome back. We're ready to get going here. So this is the basic setup for the map itself. You can see that it's modular terrain. It's provided by Battle Systems. They're actually the company that makes terrain. Now they've just started in the past few years rolling out games to feature that terrain. So the terrain itself is sort of what they're known for. It takes a little bit of setup. There are videos on their website for you to go follow along, and it'll show you how to put the terrain together. I do recommend it just in case there are some tips and tricks to prevent you from damaging the material. It is cardboard, so you do have to be a little bit careful. But the videos are good, they're concise. So watch the videos, they'll kind of cover how to construct the terrain. And then it'll tell you for the scenario how to set up the particular board. And you can see here, this scenario, we only have two heroes. We have Cassie and we have Wade. This little marker here, it marks where a ship is, and this is where they egress from the ship into the rest of the world. They're ready to go. The next thing I need to do, I've gone ahead and set up their character boards as well. They have some pre-marked things, and then you can just dry erase or wet erase, so that as the game progresses, mainly in campaign mode, you can actually increase their skills, their health, all those sorts of things. For the game itself, the scenario itself, as you're playing, you're mainly going to be using these pegs. So a lot of the stats are given to you up here on the character board, and then at the beginning of your actual gameplay, you just set up your pegs. You use the pegs throughout the gameplay, and then most of the other bookkeeping you're going to be doing is going to be for campaign modes, between scenarios, that sort of thing. So it's kind of a nice system. You're not having to go back and forth and do a lot of marking up during the game. You're just moving the pegs around for the most part. Okay, so I have the board set up. You see some modular things here that are kind of cool. This little space is kind of nice because this is where you can attach different armor. But there are some benefits to not wearing armor. In this case, you can see Wade is a great example. Because he's not wearing armor, he actually gets extra movement. So be careful with this game. When you punch things out, you don't want to throw anything away. Almost everything that gets punched out is useful. A lot of times with the terrain, it's just going to be windows and doors. Some scenarios might have you leave doors open, others might have it closed up. But just be careful when you're punching out not to throw things away, because a lot of the stuff you will need based on the scenario you're playing. Okay, so we're not going to get too much into skills until we come across them, but essentially each character gets so many skills, and then based on the class of the character, you can see Cassie here has the Marine card and Wade is Crewman. It gives them access to different skills, and you can see different levels of each skill as well. For instance, looking at Cassie, she has her marksmanship. There are 3 dots to represent her level with that skill, she only has one marked. As that increases, she'll increase her abilities. So basically, you'll notice that she has 4 skills marked up here in her career board. And then down in the skills section, she has 1, 2, 3, 4 different skills. So that matches up. Same with Wade. He only has 1 skill, and it's marked. You can see the board holds their weapons. This is kind of a cool thing in that it limits and determines how much they can carry. So you can see that Wade has a larger rifle that gives him less room to store stuff. And you'll ask, well, what do they need to store? Well, of course, they're traders going into these alien colonies looking for loot, to put it unkindly. And whatever they find, they can fit on their board. Anything that they can't fit, they have to drop something. So it does work in their advantage to go into a scenario with a little bit of space. You'll notice that there are different size items. It's kind of nice. This game is ridiculous. They even have different backpack configurations. You can get expansions which allow you to carry extra gear. And it's actually a physical board that clips onto the side of this that expands your area for you. But basic game, this is the gear they're bringing in, and any room that they have left over, they'll be able to load up. What you'll notice with this, very tactile system here. Most of these containers open up, and there's a little phase we're going to go through now where we need to load up for the scenario. So let's read that real quick. I've gone ahead and pulled, it's told me for this starter scenario to pull these pieces of alien tech. Anything green is alien tech. It says, one of the most exciting things about Core Space is its real search system. The equipment that you loot from around the board is actually inside the physical terrain pieces. You'll see that the arcs and stasis pods have removable lids for this purpose. Okay, so we went ahead and pulled what we need for your first game. You'll only need the following tokens. Okay, take the 2 arcs and the stasis pod you built, and without looking, randomly add 2 square tokens and 1 small rectangle to each terrain piece. Okay, so I'm going to flip all these over and just kind of not look because they do have different text on the back. And it said these 2, and the stasis pod is this one right here, and it also has ends that open up. Now these, normally in the game, the stasis pod is where firstborn liege lords are hibernating, and then you can actually wake them up, and then they'll come out and fight you. There's a rule saying that if it's early enough in the game and you open one of these up, it's going to kill whatever's inside. It's basically not ready yet. Further along in the game, when you open it up, it might be fully formed and might come out and get you. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of try not to look at these and group them. And 1, 2, 3 little ones. Okay, so I've got a group, and I'm going to pop them into one. There. This one. Nice and close right there. All right. And the stasis pod is... All right, so the green gear is alien tech, which is kind of cool. For instance, their weapons don't require ammunition. They tend to be powerful. And then there are other color tokens to represent our gear, regular gear, emergency gear, different types of things. Okay, then take an objective token and add it to one of the arcs. Replace the lid on all 3 pieces and place them into the board in the position shown on the map. The arc with the objective should be in the top left. Now there are a lot of features in the game that we're not going to experience with this intro scenario, but that's fine because I plan on playing a full campaign, and we'll get to check out all those other things as we go. I think we're about ready. This is our alert board, but it starts out with 6 pegs. These are just little markers, so I can keep track of who's already activated in a turn. Have my dice. Event cards. We have to find a couple specific ones for this scenario. We need shifting sands, and just when you thought. Our scenario says, for the first game, shuffle the rest, place them on the side of the board face down. So just when you thought, and then the shifting sands at the very top. This ensures that you'll follow our example for your first run through of the game. A couple of quick things we'll go over. This is our hostility tracker, and it marks how hostile things are. We start out in the patrol phase, and we are going to be adding pegs once we finish our turns, I believe. If we end up firing rounds, the first time rounds are fired in a turn, we're going to add another black peg. Actually, I think we just take our ammo and add it on there. And then you'll notice that it's going to bring us up into different levels of awareness, different levels of hostility. So we have the inspection phase, the aware phase, wake protocols, and then we have the threat defense. So in the patrol phase, what's nice is that most of the big baddies are sleeping. We just have drones flying around doing a course, basically. And that's what these numbered spots represent, where they start, where they move to. They'll basically be patrolling using line of sight. They scan, looking for us. So if we can stay out of their way and not be detected, we can probably get some progress before things get rough. Once they detect us, not only do they attack us, but they also will start alerting others. So real quick, this symbol here, these are drones. We have, next is, this face is the Liege. The Iconoclast comes in up here. These are your sort of military security style. And then big grumpy guy, we have Trueborn. He's like the big boss. All right, real fast, let's talk about range, line of sight, and cover. Okay, so range, we have 3 different ranges. We have short range, which is up to 5 inches. We have a small little range ruler that will determine if something is in short range. If you look over on these weapon icons here, they have 3 numbers. This one you can see only has the 2, but that represents short, medium, and long range. It's how much damage it does at each one of those ranges, or how many dice are rolled. So short range would be 2, medium range 1, long range not available. So if it falls within 5 inches, it's short range. If it's between 5 and 13, it's going to be our medium range, and that's represented by this longer ruler. And then long range is anything longer than medium. So if it goes beyond 13, it's going to be long range. And then line of sight's pretty simple. If you can see the enemy from the person firing, you have line of sight. There is a cover rule, and the cover rule is pretty much if 25% of the target or less is obstructive, it's considered insufficient cover, so it has no effect. If between 25 and 90% of your target is obstructed, it's considered partial cover. And then if you have 90% or more of a target, it's full cover, and you cannot even draw a line of sight. So if characters are prone, they'll be affected by cover based on their prone position. So a waist-high crate may provide full cover to a prone character. A lot of it's just common sense as you play. And it even says if you can't decide what kind of cover somebody has, just roll the knowledge die. 1 to 3, it's the larger amount. 4 to 6, it's the smaller. I think we're about ready to begin, and we'll go over movement and stuff as it comes up. All right, we are going to begin. So setting the scene. Your traders are in the middle of a quick in-and-out temple raid. You've just entered a lower level where there seems to be some firstborn activity. but your scanners are also picking up some valuable minerals ahead. There are only minutes before your presence is discovered. Is it worth the risk? Your objective is to retrieve the objective token from the crate in the far corner and then get your traders back on board their ship, all before the hostility tracker reaches Aware. Good luck. Okay, so we're going to kick off here and let them guide us through 2 full rounds, and then we'll take over from there. So round 1, each round of core space is made up of the following phases. We have hostility phase. The hostility level increases and event cards are drawn. We have the trader phase. Traders take their actions. We have the firstborn phase. The firstborn take their actions. We have the NPC phase, where the NPCs, if they were on the board, would have their turn. And we have an assessment phase. The board is tidied up and reset. Okay. The game will last until all traders in play have either been defeated by their enemies or are back on their board, back on board their ships. Ideally, you'll want to have completed the objectives before this happens. Follow our examples for the next few pages. Do what we do. And by round 3, you'll be on your own. Okay, hostility phase. So the first phase of the game. The round begins by adding a black peg to the hostility tracker. We'll still end the patrol ban, but not for long. All right, hostility level increases and event cards are drawn. We've added a peg. We're still within the patrol phase, but not for long. And now we draw an event card. It should be Shifting Sands, and it is. Let's go ahead and set that there. So based on which level the hostility tracker is at, it determines which one of these you read. So right now we're in patrol still, so it says route diversion. Choose a patrol point at random and scatter it, even through walls. It cannot be placed on top of other terrain or off the board. Place it as close as possible to the new position. Okay, so when something calls for scatter, we use the purple multifunctional die. So it actually tells us that for this scenario, we roll a 5. Okay. And we get a 5. The first one gives us the patrol point that's going to be moved. So number 5, which is right here. And we roll again to see where it's going. Our example, it's going to have it as if it landed this way. It's actually, yeah. Okay. This is going to move that many squares, and it actually goes through the wall, and it's going to end up right there. Okay, now we're ready for the trader phase, and in the trader phase, we're going to initiate our traders one at a time to take their actions. The number of actions they get is important, and it's marked here on their career card. They have actions. Both of them have 2 actions. So they're each going to get 2 actions. The actions available are moved, ranged assault, close assault, or search. Once they've taken both actions, we can mark them with, I'll just put this on here to show that they've taken their action. All right, moving. When a character takes a move action, they can move up to 4 squares in any direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You are allowed to move diagonally as long as the 2 spaces that you would be moving through if you had to move orthogonally are not blocked. Range assault allows a character to make an attack against an enemy within line of sight with one of their ranged weapons. So again, and the weapon itself determines what ranges they can fire at. And again, each one of these numbers is the number of combat dice used for that attack. You cannot make a ranged attack against enemies that you're engaged with. And you might also have intervening terrain, which modifies your shot. Close assaults, if your trader is engaged with in an orthogonally adjacent square to an enemy, they can attack them with a close assault weapon. Like ranged weapons, these are generally blue, but their statistics will be in a different format. They have, you'll notice that this first little spot is not a target, it's a fist for close combat. So these 3 numbers also show the number of combat dice used. The first for a standard attack, The second for a heavy attack, stronger, but with a risk of breaking the weapon. And the third, when the weapon is thrown at an enemy, which is considered an effortless action. And we'll get into that later on. So, for instance, Cassie is armed with a combat knife. Wade does not have a close combat weapon and cannot make these actions until he obtains one. Okay, and the last thing was the search action. So if your trader is adjacent to an arc or the stasis pod, they can search it as an action. And when they search, they will basically take anything they want out of it that they decide to keep and will fit on their board. Anything that they have to get rid of to make room just goes back into the arc. They can just store it back. Stasis pods can be searched, and they do have items and equipment. However, they also contain firstborn lieges who are waiting to awaken. So once the hostility track gets to the aware phase, they're going to wake up and come out. If you search before that point, it will deactivate the stasis fields and prevent the liege from waking, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, let's begin. All right, so we're going to start out here. We're going to have this trader split up. That's always a great idea, right? We're going to have Cassie is going to activate first. She's going to take the lead, and she's going to start moving toward that objective. She's going to use both of her actions to move. She's going to kind of... Actually, I'm going to swap these two for the beginning of the game. So she's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one action. She gets another action, and she can take the same action more than once. So she's going to go... Kind of straighten my walls out here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, and then 3. Now, the reason she stopped here is because she wanted to make sure that she was not in line of sight from stations 3 and 6. So she is in line of sight at number 5. She's not in line of sight 4. And ooh, it looks like she is in line of sight of number 1 through both doors. You can see it. And number 2, of course, she is not in line of sight of. So early on in the game, one of the big things you're trying to do is just avoid being discovered once the firstborn start patrolling. Wade's going to stay on the near side of this arc. He's going to go up and see what's inside. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. That puts him next to the arc. Second action. Sorry, she's already taken hers. So we open it up, and let's see what he's got. All right, this is a relic, which is really nice for campaign play. For this example, we're just going to drop it. He is going to keep this boomerang and a small item. He's going to put the lid back on because our traders are courteous. And that's going to end his turn. Okay, we are now in the firstborn phase. So what we do for the firstborn phase is we check our track, and in the patrol phase, you'll notice that the drone icon shows up in certain spots. You only bring in the drones if you are at a peg that is next to the icon. In this case, we are. Also note that there's a green die next to it, which means you're not always going to end up with a drone. You roll the die to determine if you get a drone or not. If you get the face, it's a drone. If you get a blank, you don't. So we would roll, and that would determine whether we get a drone or not. And then we would roll the purple die to see which patrol spot it would show up in. For this scenario, since they're kind of walking us through, they're going to go ahead and tell us that, yes, we do get a drone, and it is going to show up Just do that in spot number 2. So we will start with our drone, and he arrives over here. This is where he pops in. Now, during a patrol, drones do not move freely. They simply scan their surroundings for enemies, retreat back into their alcoves, emerge from the next patrol point, and scan again. Okay, so he arrives at 2, and then what he does upon arrival is he is going to scan the room. So for us to scan the room, we just take our large ruler. I'm sorry, this is our medium range ruler. There is no large. And we basically are just going to see if he can draw a line of sight to a traitor without passing through walls or pillars. In this case, we have a wall and a pillar, and over here, he's completely uncovered. So he does not see anything. So he doesn't just move around. What he does is he just sort of falls back into his alcove, and then he'll pop up at the next number and scan again. So he disappears from 2, he pops up at 3, and then we do the same thing. We scan. She's completely hidden, and this one's a little tricky. There is a doorway, but the pillar is blocking the line of sight. Sometimes you just got to kind of get in and peek. And now I believe I just leave him there at 3, and then next turn he'll go to 4. Okay, that's it for that phase. So now we go on to the assessment phase, which is basically just a little bit of housekeeping. Clear these off. So with this game, this particular scenario, the only thing we have to do for the assessment phase is to move these tokens off and free up our actions again. Okay, so we're in round 2, hostility phase. Once again, we're going to add a peg. Now notice we're going from patrol to the inspection phase. These guys are getting suspicious, even though they haven't seen us yet. And that's going to be it for the hostility tracker. We will draw the event card. Okay, now is where it becomes important. Because we're in the inspection phase, we have to read the inspection text. So it says, spooked. Everyone's shooting at shadows. Choose a random traitor with a ranged weapon and remaining ammo. Take one of their ammo pegs and add it to the hostility tracker. Give them a fear counter. Okay, I'm sure the scenario will tell us who it is. I don't think it's Cassie. She is a ex-military, cool as a cucumber, but let's find out. Normally to choose the random, we would roll the die. Yep, I was right. It's Wade. So Wade, he fires a shot. Rookie mistake. And that goes straight into the hostility tracker. Okay, and then Wade is going to get a fear token. Now the fear token makes traitors run away during their next encounter and waste valuable time. There are some ways to try to overcome that. We'll get to that when it happens. Okay, now we're on turn 2, and it is the traitor's turn. So Cassie's gonna probably try to take out this drone. Wade wants to move up here into this area because he knows that this is a corridor where we might have some enemies coming in. That way he can sort of cover that. But he is afraid. So one thing that you can do to mitigate fear is if you have a skill, instead of using it for an actual skill, you can spend your skill point in order to remove a fear token.
You betcha.
So he is no longer afraid. So now he's going to go ahead and move. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I think he's going to stop right backed up against this pillar. That way if anything comes in here, he'll be there to attack. He is in line of sight of 3 of the patrol points. So if she doesn't take out this, we might have a problem. But I think that's both of his actions are to move him in place, and he is done. And now for Cassie. Okay, Cassie is going to use her first action to move through the doorway. 1, 2. Now she does have line of sight she can see over this thing since this drone is hovering. Her second action is going to be to take her ranged assault action. It is, we can do it just to check it, but it's within, base to base is within short range. So she gets 2 combat dice. Remember, 1 is always blue, and then anything else is going to be red. And she must spend ammo in order to take the shot. Now, because in the second round we already have an ammo peg that we added because of the event card, hers can just discard away. Otherwise, it would be the first one. Okay, so she fires and she gets 3 hits against the drone. If we look at the firstborn card here, there are 2 sides to it. The first thing we need to see is right here, it says cleanse. That is what flips over once the alert, the hostility tracker goes all the way up and they're at full threat. Then all the enemies get a little nastier. For now, though, we're just on the regular firstborn side. And we can see that the drone has 1 shield, 2 dice for ranged attacks, has 2 actions. Okay, so this is what happens. Because Cassie is firing over this obstacle, it does have 25% obstruction, which is going to cause 1 of the dice to be mitigated in her attack. The other thing to consider is that the drone has 1 shield. That's going to mitigate a second hit, so that she has 1 hit that gets through. All of the creatures in the firstborn set are just given 1 health. So the 1 gets through and destroys the drone. Well done. Kaboom. Okay, it then wants us to cover effortless actions. Effortless actions are things that don't require a full action to do. For instance, Wade has a little health stem. He could discard this and give himself 2 health. That's considered an effortless action. Another one that's very common is characters can move 1 space as an effortless action. It's just a sort of reposition. So in this case, she is going to do that, and I believe she wants to step back through the door. So she takes her effortless action, steps back through the door. That way, if anything comes in from the entry, the patrol points, except for number 5, she will be out of line of sight. Round 2, we are now at the firstborn phase. So let's see what happens. Okay, if we look at the hostility tracker, we will see that we are going to receive 1 drone, and we might receive, that's what the green die means, a liege. Unlike in the patrol section where the drones are next to pegs with little markings, this one, anytime we're in this phase, we're going to receive a drone. We don't have to roll for the drone, it's automatic. We do roll to see where it comes in. Drone pops up in 4. Blocking our objective, and he's got nice line of sight to Wade there. Now for the liege, we're going to roll, it says roll both dice here. We do get a liege. This would actually, for the scenario, would come in at a 6. So he comes in the top right corner of the map, number 6. Okay, when they come on, they actually go into the spot closest to the marker. These are just off-board. So he pops in right here, right on the other side of Wade. Now that all of the enemies have arrived, they will activate. And since we're no longer in the patrol phase, they are just trying to attack us and damage us. Each turn, they must choose a target, which is by default the closest, most visible enemy. As both Cassie and Wade are out of sight of the liege will target the closest enemy, which is Wade. There's a little action chart here, a little bit of a flow chart. So the first question it asks on the flow chart is the target engaged with the NPC? No. Is the target in the NPC's line of sight? No. The NPC will move towards the target via the shortest route. In this case, there are two ways he could go that are equidistant. If there's a case like this, the players get to decide. We're going to go ahead and choose the top route because it'll leave the liege slightly further from Cassie and from the objective. Okay, so he's going to go 1, 2, 3, and now he's adjacent. He can attack, so he's going to stop right there. That's the first action of the liege. And you can see they have actions listed on their card. They all have 2 actions. So we have another chart here. Is the target engaged with the NPC? The answer now would be yes. So the NPC will make a close assault action against the target. Okay, so we are in the firstborn phase, round 2. Our liege has just walked around the pillar, come right around to Wade, and he is going to attack. So we check his board over here, and his close combat is going to give him 2 dice. Also notice some of these get the purple die. They only get the purple die on the first activation of their turn. So if they attack twice in a row, they're only going to get it on one of the 2. So with 2 dice, we get a red and a blue, just like for the traders. And then we also grab the purple die to see what other effects we have. I'll go ahead and roll it, but I'm sure they're going to tell me what the effect is. Okay, so we get a hit, a blank, and this thing. So it says a hit has been scored against Wade. Cover does not apply in close assault. And although armor does apply, take a look. Wade isn't wearing any. It would be a little punch right here if he did have it. So it will go through to cause damage. The result of the knowledge die is now applied as well. It says these results are listed in full, page 37 of the rule book. But this one is going to give the liege an extra action this turn. So Wade is going to take one of his health markers and remove it. Mark that he has been wounded. Okay, so now it's kind of letting us go on our own. So the liege is engaged with Wade using the flow chart. He's going to attack again. This time we don't use the purple die. It's just going to be a blue and a red. Oh, and it's 2 hits. Again, no armor. So Wade is in trouble. Things went south fast. That's going to end his turn. The drone still needs to go. Such a dumb. Okay, there is one big mistake. I didn't understand this, and now it comes into play. I forgot to put a wall. There should be a wall here. That makes a lot more sense. We're back. So now the drone is going to activate. The drone has its AI, and it tells us it's going to move toward the closest person. It does not have line of sight anywhere. So it's going to go 1, 2. Is that enough? It's going to go 1 more. 3. And then it's going to shoot. Okay, so this is a range shot. Again, checking, we have a range attack is 2. Again, no purple die. That's only for the firstborn. These are drones, are just low-level security. And we roll 2 hits. Oh my God. Now notice Cassie has 1 armor, so it's going to negate 1.
Ooh.
And then she is going to take 1. For round 2, all we do is we remove the activation counters. Okay, so that was it for the tutorial, and now we're on our own. So we will continue. Okay, so first we go to the hostility phase. So we're going to put a black peg, and then I draw a card. And this one is react. The nearest drone to a trader makes a ranged assault against that trader if possible. Okay, so basically this gets a free attack. It is a 2 dice ranged attack. Oh, and it is a misfire, which doesn't affect the drone, but it's good for Cassie, who does not get hit. Now we go into the trader phase. First thing is first, Wade is going to drop. He's going to inject himself with this little atropine and get 2 health pegs back.
Yes!
Because he is in trouble. That does not count as an action. He also now has a weapon he can throw. When thrown, as long as at least 1 hit was scored, this item is not removed from the thrower's item tray. If no hits are scored, it will be placed next to the target as normal. So it's got a cool boomerang effect. Okay, so Wade can attack with this. It's 3 dice. And I don't think it matters if he's engaged. He's throwing it within close distance. Okay, so I've got 2 hits. No cover. He blocks 1, takes 1. That's enough to kill him. He gets knocked out. That was Wade's first action. Because he didn't miss, the thing came back to him. He could come search or get in position to search this pod. I don't know if he can do much to help Cassie out. I think his best bet is to come search. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. And that's going to end his turn. He'll just hope nothing shows up, I guess. And then next turn he'll be able to search. Cassie's turn. She can turn and shoot. She's going to shoot. So close range, that's 2 dice. Nice. 3 hits. There's no cover, no armor on that. Oh, he does have 1 armor. Okay, he still dies. And now she wants to move. Oh, this is risky. 1, 2, 3, 4. This could be bad. And then for her extra action, she will move that 1 step. So she is in position to search as well. Is really going to come down to what shows up in the next phase, which we're getting into now. So we are here. We're going to get a drone. Let's roll and see where the drone comes in. 1. So number 1, right here, nice and close. We are also have the chance to get another liege. We do not. Okay. So the drone pops up. First thing it's going to do, it would scan. It clearly sees her. Because it always does a ranged attack, it's going to move away 1 and then fire. So it gets 2 dice. 1 hit. That gets absorbed by her armor, so it doesn't hurt. That was the movement and the attack. So that's it. Our guys have acted, their guys have acted. We then reset our tokens, and we're going into the next turn. And we're going to continue on. Phase. We've added that. We now draw a card. We're in the inspection phase, and the card says, increase patrols. All right, activate all rank 1 to 2 firstborn in play that do not have line of sight to a trader. The knowledge die is not used and will still be used in the firstborn phase. So that doesn't actually activate any, since the one that is on board already has line of sight. And then we go to the trader phase. So for the trader phase, oh, she needs to take care of this thing. She's going to shoot. Now, there is a special ability on her pistol, And let's go ahead and check that real quick, because I think in this situation she really wants to use it. Okay, so for the cost of an extra ammo, I can add a die. That is what her burst fire ability is. And we can see that her weapon has a little bullet symbol, and that's what that's for. So she's going to go ahead and do that. That's going to give her 3 dice. All right, so her first action is going to be to attack. So the first peg goes into here, and the extra one just goes off to the side. That's 3 dice. And that's 2 hits. Okay, no real line of sight issues there.
Ooh.
So he blocks 1 with a shield and dies. Good. So she did what she needs to do. Her next action, she's going to search. That will be her final action, except she could do... Well, let's see what she finds. All right. So she's going to search the crate. She finds the objective. So now they can get out of here. Looks like a throwing weapon. And a close combat. That's pretty cool. And this is some kind of a relic piece. Let me see. If she takes both of those, she won't be able to grab the close combat. It is way better than her knife. So she's going to leave her knife behind. She's going to take this, and she'll also take this little throwing blade here. She's going to drop her knife back in the crate. And she does have an action left. She's going to use it to... Oof. I don't know if she wants to end up right on top of a spawn point. I don't think it's going to matter too much. Actually, she's going to move 1 this way. That way she'll still be out of line of sight over here. Okay, it's Wade's turn. Wade, you need to... I guess you're going to search first. Alright, so he's going to search the pod. Notice when we get to aware, things are going to wake up and come out of here. Okay, so let's see how this works. He finds a larvae, which I think is going to bite him. And he also finds some minerals, raw minerals. Ooh, he found another health thing. That's good. So he's digging around in that stasis pod, and he finds a rockworm larvae. When searching or mining, you may discover a rockworm larvae and get a nasty bite. Your trader suffers the number of hits shown on the token, ignoring physical armor. Machines are not affected. The token is then discarded. Ooh, he takes 2 hits. That almost kills him. Okay, he's going to go ahead and use his health potion immediately.
Yes!
We can get it out of there. Okay, so he uses his health potion. That's going to bring him back up 2. And that's a health potion he had found in that container. And the larvae just discards. He's got to decide if he wants to carry these rocks around. These minerals are used for crafting items, which is kind of cool. Oh man. Okay, I think he's gonna drop the little light. I guess we'll put it back in the stasis pod. And he's gonna take the rocks and he's going to move. So he's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he can't do extra movement because he used it to take the potion. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's actually only right here. Defensively, not a bad spot. Okay, now it's going to be the firstborn activation. There's nothing on the board, but new stuff is going to arrive. We're going to get a drone, and it's going to show up on 4. Not what she wanted to see. It's all right there. And we might get a leash. Yes, we do. And he comes in on spot number 1. Oh, he comes in on this one, though. Okay. So leash comes in right here. And let's go ahead. They do their scan. He's going to automatically attack. He's within his 2, so he's just going to roll it. 2 dice. 1 hit. It's absorbed by Cassie's armor.
No.
And he's going to shoot again. Second attack. 2 hits. This has no effect for NPC. She's going to take 1 damage. Alright, and our guy here is going to move toward the closest. He doesn't have line of sight on either. She's a little bit closer, so he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to get there, but not be able to attack because it used both actions. All right. And the last thing we do is just knock these off to reset for the next turn. We're going to add a marker, add a peg, draw an event. The event says, this is Fanatical Faith. Phase Shard. The liege nearest to and within medium range of a traitor throws a phase blade, no line of sight required, and makes a range attack against that traitor with 3 dice, ignoring cover. Okay. What I was looking at earlier is, I'm not sure you can throw. Throwing is still considered ranged, I think, if you're engaged. But I did do it over here. I had Wade use his boomerang weapon when he was engaged, so I'm going to just stick with that for now, and if I have to look it up and fix it in the future, I will. So he's going to go ahead, and he is going to throw a phase blade. Okay, there is no cover anyway. Oops. That is 3 hits. She'll absorb 1 and take 2 damage. This is not going well for Cassie now. That was the end of that, and now it's their turn. Okay, she is going to use her Lee Shard, which is going to be 3 dice. And she gets 2 hits. It blocks 1 and takes 1. That's enough. It kills him. She now is going to... She doesn't really want to shoot. She's going to throw this little shard at the drone. Actually, she could just move. I think she's going to do that. She's going to try to run for it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1 more. We'll put her there. Okay. Now it's her turn. We still have Wade. He doesn't really have much means of helping her, except he's going to try to come around here and provide cover in case something pops up. So he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Second action. 1, 2. Just going to position right here. All right, that's the end of Wade's turn. Now it is their turn to act again. So we get a drone. Drone is going to pop up. Number 1. Okay, good. They're both just going to be cruising together looking. This guy phoned a friend. And let's see if we also get a liege. We do. And he comes in also at 1 again. So this guy is storming in, looking for his cousin. Okay, it's getting hairy now. So here we go, starting with the highest rank, which would be this guy over here in the doorway. And he is going to move toward... Oh, you know what? I think he has line of sight. He does. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Just going to go right in for the close combat. These guys are going to go... This one does have line of sight even. I don't think that matters here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll shoot for the second action. One hit, blocked by her armor. And this guy goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, no shot. She is in the corner, and it can't get through the door. So, it's going to move again. And then it's going to back up enough to where it would be able to shoot on the next turn. That was the end of the firstborn phase. We go ahead and take these off. We got to get them out of here. Okay, back to the top. They take a peg. We're about to enter into the aware phase, which is a little bit scary. A lot of stuff is going to come at us. We added the peg, and now we draw the event card. Okay, the event card says erratic release. Exhaust burst. If there was a Dyson reactor on the board and it has been destroyed, discard this card. Otherwise, choose an inactive exhaust on the board at random and activate it. Okay, place 3 reminder counters on the exhaust. So, what that means is that this reactor right here lights up. It would do damage to anybody within 2. I don't think it would go through the wall, but I don't think it damages firstborn creatures anyway, only characters. So that kicks off. We're supposed to put 3 counters on it. I'll just use these little... Here, I'm going to put them up here so I'll remember each turn. That was the event phase, and now it's our turn. I'm not engaged, so I could actually move. We just need to get out of here. This is tough. If I make it onto my ship, I don't think they can follow me. 1, and I can't get engaged with this guy on the way. That's the problem. Let's see. Let me realign my map here. I can still walk through there. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. She could get off. She's only got 1 health left. I think she's got to do it. Okay. So this is her daring escape. She goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then she gets that extra move. We'll get her off of there. Actually, I don't know. Let's see, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Yeah, extra move, same way. That's the actual doorway there. Airlock. Okay, so she is off of the board. And now I have Wade. Wade can attack, and then he just needs to move. Question is, am I going to let him continue to do this range attack, which I think is probably cheaty. So what he's going to do, he could do a 1 dice attempt to push back and just to push this guy off of him so that he can run and not take a hit. Otherwise, I just take a move and this creature gets a free swing at me. 2 dice. I've got 3 life. I think I'd be okay. But that's no fun. Let's do it the right way. We're going to push this guy. That is called the knockback. So he's going to roll 1. You always get 1 if he had a close combat roll, like you can see here on these cards. They have a little hand symbol. He would get to roll all of those dice for the knockback. If you don't have the actual ability or the skill, you always get to roll the 1 die. So he's going to try it. He does do it. Okay, so he knocks him back 1 space. And then for his second action, he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and get off.
Go, go, go!
That's it. So it looks like we succeeded there. This was just a run through, basically, in order to teach. We're about ready to jump in and do some campaign play. So looking forward to it. Let me know in the comments below if I missed anything. So thanks for joining me. Stay tuned, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.